Hi, this is Majnu, and today was day 4 of the Chess Olympiad. And I've chosen for a game that is not one of the top games that was played today, but it's a very instructive game because it shows the difference between Grandmaster chess and amateur chess. That's something that I like very much about this Olympiad tournament, and that is that players from all different levels meet each other, from all the countries of the world, and some are rated above 2500 and some others are rated only perhaps 1900. In this case we see with white pieces a Spanish player, Grandmaster Manuel Perez Candelario, playing against a player from the Republic of Yemen. His name is Saleh Salman, and he doesn't have a title. His rating is only 2004. Well, I say only, but well, it's as an amateur, a rating of 2000 is quite high, I must say. So it's let's say a strong club player. The interesting thing here is that we see what the difference is in level, and this difference is not seen in the opening because an amateur rated 2000 knows about the opening. He knows the theory, he knows the moves. So let me show you the game. In the opening we don't see any difference in their level. They both play the Spanish opening here, the theoretical lines, so there is not a big difference. Knight to g2, castle king side h3, bishop h5, rook to e1, knight goes to d7, the knight wants to go to c5 perhaps, and also knight to d7 opens the possibility of advancing the f-pawn, bishop to c2, and now bishop to g5 by black. White continues with g4, the bishop goes to g6, and now white captures the bishop on g5, queen takes g5. And well, up to here we can say that black is not doing bad. He has given the bishop's pair voluntarily away, that's true, but we cannot really say that the position is much better for white here. It's still within the limits of equal play. White now plays a move to prevent black's counterplay. He plays b4 here, and he's actually preventing knight to c5 with this move, and also placing the pawn on b4, so later he can play perhaps bishop to b3 and pin this pawn on f7. That's what happened in the game later. And if you see, the idea of white with these two advanced pawns is to take action on the king side as well. Now here we see the big difference between amateur chess and grandmaster chess. It would be actually very wise here for black to play in a positional way, to play, for example, here knight to d8 with the idea of going with this knight to e6. For example, if here knight to f3 attacking the queen goes to e7. If the bishop goes to b3, then simply knight to e6, and black is okay. I mean, this is an equal position. This square has been weakened because of the advance of the g pawn and the e pawn, so eventually later knight to f4 can be an idea. Instead of this, playing this positional approach of rerouting the knight to a better square, what black did is he played h5 here. Now at first sight it looks like a good idea to advance this pawn because the king here is on the same line as the queen, but the thing is that after knight to f3 the black queen has to move to e7, and now the question is whether the opening of this h-file will be favorable for white or for black. Here white played bishop to b3, already seeing that this diagonal is going to become very important. h takes g4, h takes g4, and now, well, comes a second mistake by black, and this is a serious one. Black plays knight to f6, and what black should have done was bring the knight to b6. If then bishop to g5, then the queen can move to g7, and if the knight then goes to h4, attacking this bishop, threatening to take it because this pawn is pinned, then the bishop can go to h7. It's not a beautiful position for black. It's the white pieces are attacking, they are well placed and organized, and later perhaps king to g2 and rook to h1 can be used in the attack, but still it's black is able to try to defend here. And in the game you will see the difference that if this knight doesn't go to b6 but to f6 like in the game, now if the bishop to h4, the move bishop to h7 is met now by g5. So g5 is advanced with the tempo because it's attacking the knight on f6. If the knight moves away, then already queen to h5 is terrible. Threatens, for example, to advance the g pawn to g6, attacking this bishop, trapping it actually, because it cannot take on g6, because this the pawn that defends it is pinned, so we can simply take here, knight takes g6. So that's the counterpart of this this move knight to f6 by black. It actually is not the correct square to place your knight. Let's have a look how the game continued. Knight to f6, knight to h4, and here black, instead of playing bishop to h7, he played king to h7. Now taking on g6 would have been a way to let black perhaps retake with the king, because if he takes with the pawn, then a rook on the h file is already almost checkmate. So that would be a very good option to take here simply on g6. It's not what happened in the game. In the game, white prepared this very wisely by playing king to g2. So now the threat is to take there and bring the rook to h1. Queen to d7 was played now. So black wants to take now on g4, and again white is not in a hurry, is simply understanding that his position is better and the attack will not go away. He simply plays f3 here. Now this is very instructive because we can see that the black pieces, just take a look at this knight for example, all the squares where he could go forward are in control of black. I'm sorry, of white, or the white pawns. The same counts for this knight. All the squares where he could move forward are in control of the white pawns. So, and this bishop, same story. You see, so the freedom of the black pieces is so little that white has a perfect position here. The H file that was opened by black. Black was the one who started this h5 idea and then traded on g4. It backfires completely. So white has a perfect position here, and this is really grandmaster play. Grandmaster play, moving in this type of position slowly without taking risk, but in a solid way, building up the attack. Knight to d7 now. I'm sorry, to e7. Well, it's not really somewhere to go for this knight, but the idea could be to play c6 and d5 and try to counter in the center. Rook to h1, now rook to h8, bishop to g5, king to g8, and now queen to d2. Now white is, as you can see, slowly bringing all his pieces into the attack. and this is also how it continues. Well, black continues his own plan of moving c6 to prepare the d5, but bishop takes f6 now. G takes f6 and knight f5. This knight is traded. Knight takes f5, e takes f5, and now the bishop has to go to h7, and now comes a beautiful move by white, queen to h6. Now the queen controls g7 and f8, so that means that the king is now not allowed to move. This bishop doesn't do anything there. If it moves, then the rook on h8 is taken. So in fact we can say that black is playing without these two pieces now. If we look at the white pieces, this bishop has a very important function, is to pin this pawn on f7, and the rook and the queen are very active, and the other rook can easily be activated if this rook moves, for example, to h5, and then the other rook comes to h1. In the game, it's more or less what happened. There is not much black can do. He played queen to e7, now rook to h5, e4, trying to open something in the center, but it's too late. Rook a to h1 now. Rook to d8 by black. Now comes the final blow, because all the pieces are brought into the attack now. And that's so beautiful about this example of Grandmaster Chess. First preparing the attack in a solid and good way before trying to kill the enemy. Now comes a beautiful move, queen takes h7. After rook takes h7, rook takes h7. It's a beautiful queen sacrifice, and as you can see, there is no way of preventing the checkmate on h8 and h7. So after queen to d7, rook h8 followed, king to g7, and then rook 1 to h7, checkmate. And that was the end of this game. So, well, summarizing, we can see that in the opening everything is okay for black. He knows the theory, and then there is a point where he plays this knight to f6 idea. Well, h5 first, that's this moment where he plays h5. Strange plan, too greedy perhaps to try to attack in a position that the attack is simply not prepared, and with knight to f3 the queen must leave the king side. So instead of this, better would be to play knight to d8 and to bring the knight to e6, simply playing positionally. Now the other important moment is, I'll go back now, here he played h5. The other important moment is that after this h file was opened, he played knight to f6 here. Knight to f6 without being conscious of the dangers that could happen here on the king side. Knight h4, king h7, and now white defends the g pawn well, and then goes using the h file, trades this bishop, so then after this the queen can enter on h6, and this is just all over. It's a matter of finishing it off, and he does it in a very beautiful way, Grandmaster Manuel Perez. Alright, this is the game that I wanted to show you. I hope you found this interesting and instructive as well, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.